What's up, Madridistas? Welcome to therapy session number 80. Yep, we're keeping track. Real Madrid win, and they play terrible, and we are going to log on and have the same conversation we've been having all year. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by Leah Revelle and Mehedi Hassan, who is live at the Bernabeu. But first, I wanted to just tell you guys something I'm very excited about. And believe it or not, there are things to be excited about, like Managing Madrid in London. So, as you guys know, obviously Real Madrid are playing Arsenal in London for the first leg, and we're covering that game. And I thought to myself, hey, we have a lot of listeners in London, and I'd love to meet you guys and just see some other familiar faces that have come to our podcast before. So we're sticking around on February or April 9th, sorry. So the game is on April 8th, and on April 9th, we're doing a podcast in London. If you would like to attend that event and just hang out with us, there are Champions League games on that night. We're going to do a little watch along at the bar. You can meet other Madridistas. I will be there. Heridium will be there. I think Sam Leverage is going to drive up. We're going to have other content creators in attendance, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to come hang out with us, I'd love to meet you guys. Come party April 9th. If you want to RSVP, I put the link in the chat. I'll also put it in the show notes and in the comments so that you guys can RSVP. If you book it before tomorrow, before the month ends, and then you'll save a little bit of money. So please do that. And I'd also like to announce that we have a sponsor for the podcast in London, and it's Akin Business Constructs. Akin Business Constructs, they are pioneers of a new paradigm in global management and legal consultancy, empowering clients with solutions. They navigate the intricacies of business formation, management, and financing alongside skilled contract negotiations and strategic dispute resolution, ensuring your vision becomes a reality. Experience the future of business optimization. Claim your free business audit at akinbc.com. That's AKINBC.com. And embark on a journey of unprecedented growth. Thank you so much to Akin for sponsoring our podcast in London. And as always, we want to give a shout out to Moji Mates. Head on over to moji-mates.com. Today, I'm going to recommend you guys go to moji-mates.com and purchase a Jude Bellingham shirt, because just gratitude for that guy, because he deserves it, man. He puts his heart on the pitch and saves us over and over again. Also, shout out to Kylian Mbappe, obviously, with the big brace today. And one last shout out to our presenting sponsor, TAFC Academy. Head on over to tacsports.ca. Enroll your kids, if you're in Toronto, to footy camps, basketball camps, and swimming camps. All right, we got a big podcast coming up. So let's get to it. Real Madrid 3, Leganes 2. Let's get it.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. I'm your host, Kiyan Sobhani, joined today by Mehedi Hassan live at the Bernabeu, and Leah Revelle, who is joining me, and also me as I figure out this square situation on StreamYard. There we go. We got it. Welcome, guys. Mehedi, you're at the Bernabeu. I want to start with you because you're obviously sitting press row. You got to experience the Bernabeu live tonight. Tell us your experience and everything, because I know you got to head down to the press conferences soon.
Thanks, Kiyan. First of all, thanks to you and Lucas for arranging this. This is a really big moment for me, and thanks to our entire Managing Madrid family for all their support throughout these years. I really enjoyed the atmosphere and everything, probably not as much the game. We obviously had a very slow start. We could tell that the players have come off from an international break, and also the midfield combination and the front three that appeared today in the first half, they haven't really played too much together. and you could tell, especially in the first half, the defense was all over the place. Leganes basically had two decent chances at the goal, and they scored from both of those. And our goal was from a penalty. The energy changed in the second half. The team reacted well right after the break as well with Jude's goal. But even I think at 2-2, you could say that another Leganes attack, like the ones that they scored the goals with, could cause some trouble to Madrid. But Kylian Mbappe coming good with his technically first free kick. Some people are claiming it is not a free kick. There is actually a Twitter page that has Kylian Mbappe scored a goal from free kick. That guy is denying that this was a free kick. He's considering this as just a long distance goal. We'll get into that debate later. But all in all, I think
technically he might be correct. It was not direct.
Well, don't say that on live. Yeah. So, but all in all, I think the 3 points are what the thing that matters the most here, because there is a grueling fixture coming up ahead with the Copa del Rey semi-final second leg in 2 or 3 days, and then a grueling Champions League fixtures as well. So we got to be happy with the 3 points and the Mbappe goals, I guess.
We got nearly 2 Mbappe anomalies, a free kick, and he almost scored from a header, like 2 things he never does.
Yeah.
So we almost got the whole trifecta. Look, Mbappe obviously did his part tonight, no question.
Kiyan, I'm actually going to run to the press conference
you do
now.
it, man.
Thanks, everyone, and
All
I'll
right,
catch
bro.
you guys at the Copa del Rey.
All right, thank you, bro. If you guys want to check out Mehedi's behind-the-scenes stuff, you can go follow his Twitter at mhassanfootball.com. Leah, tonight's... You haven't said anything yet.
I haven't said anything.
Tonight is going to be kind of a shorter and concise podcast because we don't have that much time, although we say that a lot and then go for like an hour. But we're really going to try because I really can't stay for reasons that Leah knows. But so I have some bullet talking points that we can go through, but I'm curious to know what your bullet talking points are. Like, where do you want to start? I have a list, but I know you have a list too, because I'm sure you have your own observations from this game.
I do. Listen, I think it was a good choice to not start the South American, well, in hindsight, because obviously, like Mehedi said, we have a grueling fixture ahead of us, and they just got back from flying across the world. And so that makes sense to me. However, Leganes is Leganes. You know, we shouldn't be struggling against bottom table teams. Although, like you said, this is our story. It's not a Real Madrid match unless we suffer. So that's an observation. Mbappe held his own. I'm happy that he's finally like showing us the Mbappe that we signed. However, he kind of didn't have much help besides maybe Jude. I think some people had moments of brilliance. I think Arda, like the first 10 or 15 minutes, he started slow, and then he had like some glimmers of hope. He had a few like potential assists, a few passes into the box that were really nice and concise, and then obviously he earned the pen. Was it a pen? We're not sure, but we'll take it. A Panenka from Mbappe is outrageous, but against Leganes is like wild. Lucas Vazquez should not renew because I know that's in the books. So, I mean, in this situation, I kind of get why he started, so that Fede Valverde didn't obviously start, so he was rested. I think maybe there were some other options, you know, like Asensio could have played right back, Alaba could have played. There could have been, I think, anything. A Castilla player might have been better, to be honest, because on several occasions he was just nowhere to be seen. There's like, if you go and look at frames or clips from anywhere in the match, like including the goals that we conceded, he's just nowhere to be seen. He's just not in frame. So yeah, there's that. Fran Garcia is like, I think the only way to describe him is just meh. Moments of brilliance, like I said, like that one like dispossession where he just like took the ball from the leg, and I don't know who it was, but from his feet essentially, and like then we were on the counter. That was great, but I mean, if that's your only moment, you know, Jude good, I mean, Vinny, like I said, Vinny, Rodrigo, whatever. I don't have much to say for them because they just got back from international break. That's all. That's like very grueling. That flight is long, you guys. I've done it many a times, and it sucks. Private, economy, however, it fucking sucks. So that on top of like 3 or 4 games, it's just I get it. Anyways.
Just flying in general does suck, but it sucks extra. I don't know. It just sucks extra when you're flying across the ocean. We're on the same page on that. Okay, so I mean, your bullet points are pretty similar to my first 2 like main talking points in this game, which I think ties in nicely to the conversation, as does this super chat that came in about Lucas Vazquez. Also, shout out to our new member, Adham Salam. Congratulations. You just got access to 2 bonus episodes we did in the past few days. One about Trent and his fit, and also the mailbag, and you get a ton of access to if you become a YouTube member. So congrats to Adham. Our YouTube member Ankor Giotti Bordoloy says, Kiyan said, quote, "We can play Vazquez against Leganes and Getafe at home," end quote. Are you sure? Asensio last man defending and counterattacks. This guy is better than Rudiger right now. Turtle racking up goals, and we hang by a thread. No easy games. I want to bring up this Lucas Vazquez quote that I said, and Ankor Giotti bring it to our attention and asking me if I'm sure. I'm glad you brought this up because I'm not sure anymore. And I think it's a huge problem. Like, you got Leganes at home. Theoretically, are there many, if any, easier games on the schedule, Leah? This is not a good team.
No.
That's an objective thing to say. I mean, they're a good team compared to like if you put them up against, you know, me and you and some friends in a park. They're not a good team relative to other La Liga teams.
And the thing is too, that if you watched even the first half, but like let's just even say the first 20 minutes, they did nothing. They were just like fighting for their lives. And like we had zero output. We weren't doing anything. Like we had some like creativity. We made some things happen with no output. Like nothing happened from the, you know, the build up that we created. But like they did nothing. They were literally fighting for their lives. So
I mean, my overarching point with even talking about that Leganes team and where they are in La Liga and stuff like that, and how many goals, the little goals they've scored relative to the other teams in the league, their defense, all that stuff, is that like if you can't play Lucas Vazquez at home against Leganes, who can you play him against? It's a huge problem. Like the thing with me is that I'm gonna be, despite a win, I'm leaning more towards the negative side of things after this win. And I'll tell you why. It's because I'm just begging us to show up and play from 1 to 90 minutes of good football. Just one game this season. Just give me Leganes at home, man. Leganes at home, one full game that we just look great. It hasn't happened this season.
No.
2 games against Manchester City are the exceptions. That's it. So there's been like, if it's one thing to roll up to the podcast and win 3-2, and we've been so good this season that like, yeah, it's okay that, you know, we won 3-2. We rested the South Americans. We didn't play great. Who cares? It's 3 points and we've had a great season, and this is the league. It's tough. You have to grind out games against opponents who are lower than you. It happens. But this has been we've been having this conversation every single week, Leah. You know this.
Yep.
So it's like, you play the South Americans or not, all important players don't, obviously. Fede, you know, if Fede's not on the pitch, I literally have anxiety at this point. Vinny is a Ballon d'Or level player. Rodrigo's had a good season. These guys are important players. But if you can't give these guys a rest after returning from South America, and you have no choice but to put them on in the second half because you're either losing or drawing, or you have to close out the game. And by the way, it was 3-2. They couldn't close it out. They got lucky. Leganes weren't putting those chances away. Ancelotti was yelling at the players like, "What is going on? We're ahead. Why are you committing bodies forward? Why aren't you tracking transition?" Back to Lucas Vazquez. No, I'm not sure that he can play against Leganes at home. And this problem, it goes all the way back to, by the way, you couldn't even play him against Pachuca in the Club World Cup because he got cooked by, I forget the dude's name on Pachuca who was cooking him.
Do you want to know what's crazier, though? Is this problem goes deeper than this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is something that we've talked about last year, the year before, is depth. Because now we're one Lucas Vazquez injury away from who? You know? I mean, Fede Valverde, we know him, we love him. Fede Valverde for Ballon d'Or 2025. We know this, but like, that's not his position. It could be, but he also has, this is what, the second game in 2 years that he's been rested. Like, again, we're one injury away from having no one. So then it begs the question, well, like I said, that's a deeper rooted issue where we just need to sign players for depth because Lucas Vazquez has never been that player. It's not like he was at one point. Alaba at one point was a starting center back or was a starting left back for Bayern. You know what I mean? Like, he encompassed that position at one point and he's just gotten old. He's had injuries, whatever. Lucas Vazquez has never been that for us. He had that one season where Carvajal was out for like 3/4 of the season and he actually stepped up that season. But before that, even at left wing or right wing, when he like had minutes just because of rotation or whatever, he was meh. So the idea that he can suffice in a season where we're already struggling, in a season where we have even less depth than we've had before, and then on top of that, it begs the question, we took the risk on Asensio and now look who we have. Like, look at the Rolls Royce defender that we have in Raul Asensio. Do you know what I mean? Who's to say that if we take a risk on a Castilla player at right back, that is not a repetition, or maybe even like half of what Asensio has given us is better than Lucas Vazquez at this point.
So, I mean, that's the point that needs to be made, is what you said, is kind of the deeper problem of this is that if you can't afford to play Vazquez at home against Leganes, does that mean you just have to run Fede Valverde into the ground more? Which I'm not even sure is possible at this point. He's basically already in the core of the earth. He's been run into the ground so much. But this goes back to like the reason now you're in this situation is because in October you had a chance to groom Aguado and Fortea and you chose not to. And so now you can't even call on them, like, because even if they did come good at this point, you wouldn't know or trust them to do that. And by you, I mean Ancelotti. Like, so that's the situation we're in now. I also just think it's worth pointing, despite us having this Vazquez barbecue session, it's not just him. And I think it's like you mentioned, the defensive sequences and the goals conceded. I wish we could go over these sequences together on YouTube to point out, like, kind of like, just look at all the players and where they are. Well, we can't for copyright reasons, but look at the second goal, for example, when Brahim loses possession. He also had a chance to track his man into the box, the goal scorer, who was Dani Raba. So Brahim, the whole dominoes of that, like, Brahim loses the ball. Vazquez is out of position up the field at that point. He can't recover. Asensio comes over to cover. He gets beat. Brahim doesn't track Dani Raba. Camavinga and Modric don't come over and track him in time either. On the equalizer right after the Mbappe penalty, that's when Fran Garcia gets caught a little bit. He keeps Diego Garcia onside. And then the communication between Asensio and Vazquez didn't look good on, like, who was marking who, and the ball just kind of goes through Asensio. In the end, like, they weren't, none of those two players were picked up in the box because I think there was a bit of a miscommunication.
I also have a little more sympathy for Asensio because he's now marking two people. You know what I mean? He's trying to track two people because Brahim's 2.5 because Brahim's not marking his man, and Lucas Vazquez is in space. Like, in space, I mean, like the Milky Way, not space like space. You know what I mean? He's nowhere to be found. And so there's only so much that Asensio can do in that situation. Yeah. But defensively, it was just, I'm confident that in some circumstances, like, my 7-a-side team could defend better. Maybe not, but you get my point.
Well, no, I do. Of course I do. Because, I mean, it's weird. I mean, Angelo and I did a whole segment a couple days ago no, yesterday, maybe Friday, yeah, about can Real Madrid win the league? And my reasoning was I mean, yes, theoretically, of course they can. I'd love to be proven wrong about it. But the reason why I'm just skeptical and negative about this whole thing with the league this season is that I just don't trust us to be consistent over a huge string of games here. And I don't trust Barca's opponents. And also, I trust Barca. Like, if I'm a Barca fan, they go into these games and they win comfortably, like 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 4-2, 4-1, and they don't take their foot off the gas. It's like when they go in for one goal, they go in for the kill. They cut the head off. Like, they go in and just demoralize you. With Real Madrid, they're up 3-2 at home against Leganes, and it's like a shambolic defensive situation where they just can't close it out. And it's like every game, it's just labored, and they're just dragging themselves to the finish line. And I don't see that with Barca. And again, I'd love to be
Yeah.
wrong about this by the end of it, but like if it changes and they get it together, then that's what happens. But it's not that they've gotten it together yet this season. So that's the analysis. That's what it is.
I think it's just too much. I said this a couple of years ago about PSG, and I don't think it's necessarily to the same level, but when PSG signed, like, had Mbappe, had Neymar, had Messi, had, like, a bunch of big names, like, world-class footballers, it's hard to sign a bunch of names and, like, make them it's one thing to sign a bunch of, like, very talented players, and then it's another thing to make them play cohesively or to
Yeah.
have, like, any sort of chemistry on the pitch, and, like, it's definitely not the same as it was. A lot of these players have been playing together a long time. We didn't spend a lot of money, blah, 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 whatever. But I think it's, like, a similar situation where there's just a lack of cohesion of yeah, in every aspect. Because if you look at, like, our attackers, there's a lack of cohesion. There's no real, like, consistency with anything. Midfield, same thing. And then there's, like, constant rotations, there's different formations, there's different, like, Ancelotti's starting different players. There's no like, if you asked me right now, what is our, like, without a doubt, first 11 on the team sheet? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, 16, 17, you asked me what our starting 11 is, like, this is our first team, no ifs, ands, or buts, it's this. You know what I mean? This is what it is. These are the 11 players that are starting. The rest are bench players. Like, that's our, you know, that's our B team. Those are our bench players, whatever. Unanimously, this is our starting 11. And now I genuinely am not sure, and I don't think they know. And I think that contributes to, like, I said this about Rodrigo too. Like, it's hard to be your best when you're constantly there's no consistency in position, in minutes, in whatever. And so, like, Asensio is a good example. Look what he's shown us in the minutes that he's played. Imagine if he's like a unanimous, like a starter like COC, you know? Like, if he can confidently assume, unless his form drops, that his name is, like, perhaps one of the first names for our defensive line on that team sheet. It's not. It never is. And so, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of experimentation too with our team. And then also, like, where does it end? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just slowly withering away in depth and, like, spending no money. Where does it like, at what point does Paris say, okay, like, we've got nothing I have nothing left. We've got nothing left. Where do we go from here? You know what I mean? Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the age-old problem of um if you have a coach who doesn't trust the young players, then on one hand you have young players not being trusted, and then on the other hand, signings not coming in. Stuart Robson said a stat on the commentary today. Not Stuart Robson. The Rob Palmer, sorry. Rob Palmer said, I don't know if I caught this right. Maybe you caught it. He said Ancelotti makes the least amount of subs in Europe.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's true Because
I
at
didn't
some point,
realize that. Like that's a statistic that was like, oh, okay. Like I mean, I was surprised it was that low.
I'm not surprised though, because like I'm surprised, but then when you deep it, it makes perfect sense because there are some games, Kiyan, that I'm like, we're literally down, and it's like the 69th minute. That was a poor choice of numbers. I'm so sorry. I didn't do that on purpose. Um,
Good
but you
thing
know what I
that didn't
mean?
happen on the breast post game podcast.
No,
Yeah, that would have been overload.
literally, that would have been much too much for us. Are we 5 years old? Anyways, do you know what I mean though? Like it's like the latter stages of the game. We're down, and he's not made any substitutions. And then I think his first substitute that game was taking Rodrigo off, and Rodrigo was like our biggest chance creator the whole match. It just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, again, there's not a lot of depth, but players like Arda, like Endrick, like sometimes Endrick is the kind of player profile we need in games because we don't have a box crasher like that. Like we don't have a striker that will. He's probably too short to get his head on the end of like some crosses, but do you know what I mean? I don't know. At this point, like try new things, maybe something, maybe some more. If you're already experimenting, experiment more. You know, like maybe we'll find another Asensio, another diamond in the rough. Who knows?
You said earlier that you're not, we don't really know what our best starting lineup is. I think we know like 90% of it. And I think the problem is that it's hard to have your starting 11 best Once de Gala out there because of all the injuries as well. Like to me,
Yeah.
it's a damn shame that we never got to see that City second leg starting lineup again.
Mm-hmm.
That was our best performance of the season, and then Ceballos went up for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And so we haven't seen it since then.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to say I wanted to say a few positive things before we wrap it up. And maybe just transition it first with this super chat from Rocky, who says, Kiyan, why doesn't Perez inject funds into Madrid through his wealth? I feel like if PSG and City can keep cooking the books and getting away with it, why can't we? Or is it much complicated than that? Thanks. I mean, it's not complicated. It's just that he's not allowed to. The way this club is structured, you can't use private money. The club generates its own revenue and uses its own revenue. So it's not really complicated. It's just that's how it works. And I like it that way. I think it'll be a dark day if we started getting private ownership. And I hope that doesn't happen ever. Positives, Leah. I actually
Positives.
liked some of our attacking sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
Mm-hmm.
Brahim and Jude and Mbappe had some really cool link up in the box. I thought Jude's passing into the box was great. I thought Arda had a couple nice balls into the box as well and kind of grew into the game. But really the main positives were probably that Mbappe obviously with the big brace, which
Mm-hmm.
was much needed. I think he's pretty comfortably going to hit the 40 goal mark that people laughed at me for predicting.
Mm-hmm.
And just Bellingham is massive. Like, again, I mentioned it early on, the gratitude we have for him. You look at the
Yeah.
goal he scored, encompasses him perfectly. Shoots, sprints, tracks, attacks meaningful attacking zones and
Mm-hmm.
spaces and channels, doesn't stop running, doesn't stop defending, pounces on loose balls.
Yeah. Even the fact that he's in the box, that he's that he's made that run and he like is there. Because how many times have there been crosses or like loose balls in the box and just no one's around at the back post, or like it just ends up being a dead ball and then it's cleared, you know?
Yeah. Just gratitude to him, man. I think, and I'm not even. It's a positive. I'm highlighting as a positive. But again, I will go back to the question of, is it a good thing overall that this guy is just running all over the field and placing band-aids all over your attack and defense and running himself into the ground? And maybe should we have just a better team structure so that he doesn't have to do that and can conserve his energy for the big moments? And then that's what I always worried about with Jude. I'm always just like, he's just doing so much and I'm just worried, like, he's gonna gas out, burn out, and I'm always worried about that. Our two best players, I honestly I think are Fede and Jude. And they just run so much that I'm just constantly worried about them. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Facts. And also, Jude still needs shoulder surgery. So who knows when
Yeah.
that's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually spoke to someone at the club a few months ago about it, and it's like, yeah, he kind of needs it, and but it's like, do you do it? Because if you do it, you're gonna miss some time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, you pretty much have to do it when the season is over and just mail the Club World Cup in, like, just be like, okay, he's gonna miss the Club World Cup. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we
Alas.
are. Did we keep it concise? 30
I
minutes
think so.
on the
That's really
dot.
good. That's impressive.
Did we miss anything?
No, I don't. Did you see the guy get sprayed by the sprinkler at halftime?
No. Who got sprayed with a sprinkler?
One of the reporters, one of the journalists said, the one that's
Like
out on the pitch.
intentionally?
No, the sprinklers, the sprinklers on the pitch came on and fully sprayed him. So he was like setting up for his shot and like was wiping his jacket off because it was soaked.
Was this like you saw this on like the ESPN halftime feed, or was it?
No, on the halftime feed because they're dumb sometimes. No offense.
I have a
And
whole story about this, but I know exactly what you're gonna say. But keep going. Yeah.
yeah, they like they keep the mics and cameras on. So like you can see all of their like their pre-production like setup, like testing
Okay.
their mics and shit. So
Yeah.
this guy's just on the pitch being sprayed by the sprinkler.
Wasn't that it was Sid Lowe, wasn't it?
Was it? Maybe.
I think it was Sid Lowe. So the funny thing about this is that they are unaware of that this is happening in the US. It's only in
Oh.
Canada that the halftime feed picks up their testing. Luis Garcia, can you count to 10 for me, please?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Sid? And they start talking about food sometimes. And it's only in Canada that this happens. It's been 2 or 3 years now. They have no idea this is happening, except Kay Murray knows, because every halftime I take a video of it and I send it to her, and she's like laughing. So she knows to watch what she's saying because she knows that in
It's
Canada
live.
everyone's listening. Yeah. But I don't know. They just keep doing it. I mean, it's funny. I just hope that no one
funny.
gets canceled one day because I love all those guys. So just please, guys, at halftime, please just keep it
Just
PG.
But yeah, it's like 10 minutes. It's not even like it's like 30 seconds before production starts. Like it's like 5 or 10 minutes of like before the halftime show starts.
Right. Yeah.
Very
Um,
good.
I didn't check Ancelotti's post-game quotes. Do you think I should?
Depends what kind of mood you want to be in this afternoon.
Uh, yeah.
Check them.
So, just on that note, I had a question for you while I bring that up.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm actually curious to know, we didn't do nerdy analytics and stuff, mark stats, but I don't feel like doing it. Okay, but do you I'm gonna bring you and Diego these if you like it. Do you like this shirt?
Yeah.
It says "Never give up." It has 9248 on the helmet, and it
Yeah.
has the Managing Madrid logo on it. It's on sale only until tomorrow, 31st. Is that 2 days?
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah. So if you guys like this, look, it's the time of year where I'm going to be wearing this shirt a lot, and I want people around the world to wear this shirt just to give like some spiritual Juanito Sergio Ramos energy to the team in the Champions League and the knockouts, because we really need it this season. If you want this shirt, it's only on sale for 2 more days and they disappear forever after that. Finn designed it. So if you like it, I put the link in the chat and the show notes. Ancelotti. Let's see.
Oh my God, I swear to God if you said that.
What?
You're muted. I can't
I'm
hear
not
you.
muted. I'm not talking.
Oh,
I wasn't talking.
I was watching the YouTube stream.
No.
You're like, I've not said a damn thing. Well,
Yeah, I don't see anything interesting. Okay.
nada.
We must suffer. I thought, like, as a joke, I was gonna say he probably just said we must suffer, but he literally said we must suffer. I don't remember a match where we didn't suffer.
No,
Love it on
actually.
cue. Well, look, it's true, but maybe that's not a good thing if you suffer every game. Like again, all I'm asking is like one game. Can you give us one game, 1 to 90, where we're just a good performance? I'd love to see it.
Did you say
Haven't seen
that
it.
we had a good performance or that we had a good game?
I don't know. I closed the tab, so I'm done. I'm out. I gotta go. We must suffer. So
Well,
thank you guys for tuning in. Leah, thank you. Mehedi, if you're listening, enjoy the rest of your time in Madrid. Look forward to seeing you guys in London. Please RSVP. And appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back Monday. And if you want the bonus content, patreon.com/managing Madrid, ton of bonus content, including Trent Alexander talk. And if you don't have Patreon in your country, hit join on the memberships tab on this channel, same content. And I'm trying to remind myself, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. That's it.
the easiest thing to do.
Easy call to action. Nothing. It's literally the laziest thing you can do. If you like it, and if you're on the stream still, you probably do like it, even if you won't admit it to yourself. Even if you hate us, there's probably 1% of you deep down in your soul that you might like us. Maybe. For that 1%, the laziest thing you can do, just press like. That's it.
Yeah,
Thank
you guys, what? 279 people watching, but 9 likes. Come on.
Yeah. See, I don't know what that, but someone actually, I think it was Angela who brought that up, like on our last stream. He was like, you got to tell them to like. They won't like it unless you tell them. It's like, okay, I'm telling you guys to like the channel.
Like it immediately.
Yeah. All right.
Like
Thank
it,
you guys.
and we'll win the Champions League. I'm just saying.
The more
If you're
likes,
superstitious.
the more you do your part for the trouble. All right. Enjoyed it. Thanks, Leah. Appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys. Peace out.
Bye.